Unlock the door to success in the dynamic world of real estate with your hosts, William Gomez and Alfredo Madrid. Join us as we dive into the inspiring journeys of loan officers and real estate agents, sharing their triumphs, challenges, and invaluable insights. Your key to navigating the ever-evolving landscape of real estate starts here.
Alfredo Madrid.
What's going on?
Man, I'm super excited to be doing this.
We've been talking about it for a little bit.
So this is going to sound kind of cheesy, but I don't know if you have heard of the podcast New Heights.
I haven't.
So it's a podcast with Travis Kelce and Jason. Jason.
Oh yeah.
Is that his name? Jason Kelce? His brother.
Jason Kelce and Travis Kelce. Yeah.
And they originally did that podcast. You know, he lives in Philadelphia, and then the other guy lives in Kansas. They did it so that way they could keep their relationship going. Because as you know, as you have family, you have your job, your family. Like it can get easy to, it can be hard to, keep relationships going. And it's funny because whenever I met you, I was like wanting to learn from you.
Yep.
And sometimes it seems like it's easier to whenever you're further from somebody than whenever you're together, because you're right down the hallway. But it's you have to be a lot more intentional to be able to be in front of somebody to keep that relationship going. So this podcast, the Real Deal Real Estate Podcast, I was like, why don't we co-host this thing? Bring agents in, bring top producing loan officers, top producing agents, learn from them, and then you and I just have accountability to where we're getting at least together once a week to where we're talking about market, we're talking about strategies where we can help. As we're helping each other, we're also helping other people. So I'm super excited to be doing this.
Yeah, 100%. I think you can cross each other's in the hallways and sometimes not even talk sometimes just because you're busy with every day, especially in a market like this one where we're having to really dig deep to go out there and get the business. But I'm really excited about bringing people on board and trying to extract as much information as possible that will actually help people out there. Early in my career, I remember, you're so concerned with like the credit and building yourself up and stuff like that you almost want to like guard your ideas. But what I've learned is like the more you share and the more you help others go up, like the more your business goes up. So that's what I'm really excited about. Our next guest is going to be Tom Rosser. And I'm super excited about you guys hearing what he has to say about what he's done in his business. I mean, I had a lot of eye-opening thoughts when I've been talking to him. So I'm excited about bringing guests like him on.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear and be able to learn from myself, and then like we said, give those tidbits out. Tom has been in the business as long as you have, 20 years, and his story. He talks about how after he started getting coached, which he's paying a good amount monthly to get coached, and he's going to come on, be able to tell us, what are some of those tips and tricks that he's doing. So hopefully people that are listening are able to implement, whether they're on the real estate side or the lending side as well too. And then how to add value to our realtor partners as well.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, this isn't going to be loan officer. This is going to be, I'm excited to get some really top producing realtors in here. Hear how their business has grown, how they're getting through this market, how they go through tough times, how they build their teams. I mean, that's something that's going to be really helpful in general. I mean, it's real estate related, but it's very sales oriented.
It is 100%.
Is what I'm excited about.
And so let me ask you this. We're closing about 400 units like during COVID times. You'll be about 200 plus this year. So still big production, but I mean, all of us, during COVID, I think I was around 160-ish, and I would be about over 100 this year. So two different types of productions, but I feel like everybody's production looks about the same as far as we had a lot of bearing fruit during those times, and now we're having to grind for everything. You've been in the business for 20 years. Mm-hmm. Has this been the hardest time that you've seen in your 20 years?
It hasn't been the hardest time simply from my personal journey, right? I've created my own hard times. As far as like the market, what makes this time difficult is the season we came from into this one, right? Like I haven't seen rates this high my entire career. I've been in it 20 years. This is higher than I've ever seen before. And that has a ton to do with it. But more than anything, we just came off a market where it was very order taking. We were just like sitting back and signing people up. And all of a sudden that has shifted, and we can't get away with that anymore. And so from going from completely warm hot tub water, and then you know how when you get out of the hot tub and you jump in the pool?
Yeah.
That's what's happening right now. We were in a nice, cozy hot tub, and we're jumping in an ice-cold pool right now, and we're just like, okay, this is different, right?
And I would say that people like you and I, though, the way that we run our process and our systems, have you ever done contrast therapy? Do you know what that is?
But I'm assuming it's similar to what I just talked about.
Yeah, contrast therapy is you being in a hot tub and then moving into a cold tub and then moving back and forth. But the difference between that is that you're at least mentally getting prepared for it. It's still going to be cold, really, really cold, but you're at least like being like, okay, here in about a minute, I'm gonna go over there, right? I think that at least people like you and I, and then a lot of other people that have processes, we were somewhat ready. I mean, I would say that 2022 was a good like wake up year. Like, hey, that time is done. Like, you got to start changing the way that you're doing your business. Honestly, the people listening, one of the things that Tom, spoke about, because we've already spoke with him, is, the favorite quote that he said, I'm the busiest whenever it's me and my team are the busiest whenever it's a slow season, because he's tune finding all of his, how to be able to become better. And I think that that's one of the things that so many people aren't doing, that if they were able to get prepared for that, it would be maybe a little bit easier to go through that season.
I'm going to be honest and say that I'll agree with you in the part that we kind of saw this coming, but me included, I kind of had some like blinders on that I put on myself. Like, I could see it over there, but you get separated from that pain of like what you have to do in markets like this, that you're like, maybe I won't have to this time, right? And it's a lie, and I'm waking up from that lie right now. Right? Like, I'm saying, wait a minute, I got to go back to doing those things that I used to do when it was a normal market, not like the last 2 years. And I wish I would have started doing those things sooner. And that's what this podcast is about, right?
Yeah.
Like, this podcast is about hearing something. You might not take everything from it. You might not leave here and try to implement everything, but that might be that one catalyst that you hear and be like, oh man, like when Tom said that about like, hey, when we're the slowest, it's when my team sees that I'm the busiest. Man, wow, like that's true. Like that's awesome on a lot of levels, because you need to be the busiest. That's when you need to do the most prospecting. But you also need your team to see how much effort you're putting in for them.
Yeah, I completely agree with what he talked to us about, and it's kind of eye-opening, because a lot of the times we just like to complain and point the finger at somebody else rather than us, right? Mm-hmm. So what are some of the books that you're reading lately?
Let me see. I am reading Who Not What.
Who Not What. Tell me what that's about.
That's about when you want to improve something in your business. It's not about what you need to change. It's who do you need to find that knows how to do that, right? And it goes back to the coaching, as well back to the mentoring. Is like a lot of times we spend so much time on trial and error, figuring things out for ourselves. There is a lot of resources out there for us to figure out how things we do. But I could sit here and try to, like, let's take social media, for example. I could sit here and try to figure out myself how to optimize my videos and how to edit them, or I could call you. And you could sit down with me for 30 minutes and say, Alfredo, do these 3 things. Right? So when you're trying to improve your business, when you're trying to improve anything in your life, more likely than not, more often than not, it's who, not what. Who do I need to talk to, not what do I need to do?
I love that. One of the ones that I just got done reading, and actually maybe a guy we might have in here, Scott Robinson.
Oh yeah, love Scott.
He's been doing it for 30 years or something.
He's actually would be a great guy to talk to from a self-retrospect standpoint, because I think this is his final year. He has set his life up so we can walk away scot-free, no pun intended. So he can walk away and not have any regret about leaving it all on the table. And that's exactly what he's done. His story is an awesome story. I've heard it a few times, and he's just a great guy that we could have on here.
Yeah, and talking about how great we had it in 2020 and 2021, I mean, this guy was making $1 million+ and living in Costa Rica. Was that
Belize.
And he bought a house out there and everything.
Well, he got stuck in Belize.
Because of COVID.
Yeah, he went down there and they were going to shut down the airports. And he told me that him and his wife looked at each other and said, we either have to choose to stay here or go back and not come back for a year. And he said, we chose to stay. And he said he had his best year ever working out of his house on the beach in Belize.
Man, I feel so bad for him.
It's amazing.
So bringing him up because we went to one of his lunch and learns, which, man, he was top producing loan officer in Albuquerque and completely gets up and moves to Tulsa. Was he originally from Tulsa?
His wife, I believe. He
wife
has connections here. I believe it's his wife.
That's, I mean, he's towards the end of his career, but I mean, that's a pretty big move trying to just start it all over. But man, just from what I've seen, he did a great job as far as like, hey, let me just make my name known here. And, you know, we went to a lunch and learn of his over at GTAR, and he gave a book away called The 7 Levels of Communication. Anybody out there, especially real estate agents, if you have never read that book, I would highly, highly recommend for you to pick that up because it's literally a story about where most people are in the market right now.
Yeah, I mean, he's an excellent example of somebody that just follows the blueprint, right? There's a blueprint that's already been proven. He follows it. He gets out of it his own way. That's going to be a recurring theme in this podcast, right? Is like whatever you're trying to do, somebody's already done it and they've done it well. And the first step is to do it the way they're doing it and then expand on that. So he's a great guy that just executes and sees the fruit from that.
Yesterday, we had our first sales calls here from moving over to the Mortgage Link. And by the way, you know, you had a vision when we moved over here, and I think that you're executing that vision. And so I commend you for that. And I think we're rallying it up. And you said, you know, you spoke at that sales meeting and talked about how, you know, everything I'm telling you is nothing new.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing here, guys. I mean, it's like all the things that tips and tricks and hacks, all those are hooks.
Yeah.
Just to get somebody to listen. But at the end of the day, it's information that you've already heard before, but you have to implement it. You have to implement it. If not, it's just going to be wasted information that you just wasted that time.
It's so easy to be a cynic when it comes to ideas and thoughts and ways to grow your business, because you can get into this cycle of just not cycle, but just like this mission of just adding information to yourself, like checking, oh, yep, heard that, seen that, read that, heard that. But you get into that deal and you're never really applying anything. So it's almost like you're just trying to say that you've read that or seen that or heard that instead of like focusing on how do I apply it. But the things that apply that work, we all know it's a process. It's a cycle. You have to like implement it, work on it, work out the kinks, do it again, and then just have to over and over. And it doesn't get good till you've applied it over and over again. So like I said on that call, I'm like, don't waste your time telling yourself, I've heard this before. Instead, ask yourself, wait a minute, what am I missing on this that I'm not doing anymore?
Yes. Man, I'm really excited to do this. And for people that the whole purpose of this is to make sure that anybody, a real estate agent or a new real estate agent, a new loan officer, or somebody that's been in the business for 20 years is able to jump on here and is able to get value from it. So every now and then, if we don't have a guest on here, you know, I'd love to chat, see how business is going, see, you know, what new tactics are working for both of us, and then also guidelines that can help us out. I think that with, you know, COVID and with everything that's happening, I mean, there was some good and some bad things. I mean, I just posted a video today about one of the new guidelines that just came out, or it's coming out November 18th, is that you now can buy a 2 to 4 unit property with 5% down on conventional. Before
financing.
It was 15%.
That's right.
And now, I mean, it's super easy to, I mean, it's hard. Don't get me wrong. It's hard to find a duplex or a quadplex, but if you're able to find it, now you're able to get in there with 5%. You don't have to worry about having PMI for the rest of the loan, and hopefully maybe even starting to cash flow some money with your first or first 3 rentals.
Yeah. I mean, I think, definitely what'll be one of the value adds of this podcast that I'm excited to give value in this area is that we're in the business. Like, this isn't something we used to do. This isn't something that we used to have success at. It's something that we're right in the middle of, right with you. We're going through this exact same market. We're finding ways to get out of it. We're having our own realization and epiphanies about like what's going on when we have a guest. I'm learning as much as the listener's learning from that guest, just like we did with Tom.
Yes.
So I'm pretty excited about that piece of it, that it isn't some, Al Bundy, I scored 4 touchdowns in a game one time. It's like we're out there in the marketplace doing it right now.
And to just wrap this up, what are some things that you're doing? Like, what's one thing that you're doing right now to be able to kind of, survive out there right now?
I'm a big fan. I'm a fan of loan programs, right? I like loan programs just like anybody else. But the way I look at a loan program is more from the marketing aspect than I do the actual functionality of the loan program. For example, if there is a loan program where certain properties in a certain area qualify, I find a lot more value in being able to call the agents in that area and tell them, hey, your listing, like I want to give value to them, right? So your listing happens to fall in an area that there's special financing. I think that'd be a great tool to help you market this. Can I help you do that? So just finding different angles. So I'm not just calling and saying, hey, can I take you to a coffee?
How was your weekend?
How was your weekend? Did you work or play? Do you have anybody we can help, right? And there's nothing wrong with that if that's all you have to say. Like, I don't want to discourage people from calling and saying that. If a realtor says, well, I've been asked to 17 coffees, well, this is number 18, and I promise this is going to be your best one, right? So
we'll throw an extra shot of espresso there.
Right? I don't see anything wrong with that, but I also have to start exploring, how can I give value? Well, our loan programs is a way, because maybe I can see it a certain way that it actually helps them out sell their property, which is what they're trying to do right now.
And actually, I mean, we just came out with a new product that goes exactly. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So if you're in a certain area of town, you qualify for lower interest rates. On average, probably from the cost of the rate perspective, you're looking at 150 to 200 basis points better as far as cost to the consumer. So, for example, if you have a $200,000 loan, that could cost the consumer up to $4,000 less in points towards the interest rate they're trying to get.
And we have the option to give them a lower rate or just save them that money, correct?
That's right. That's correct. Now, the property has to be in a certain area. What's really neat about this one that's different than other loan programs like this is there's no income limit on it, okay? There's no price limit on it, and it's just conventional finance. It's conventional guidelines.
And loan officers should know this, but real estate agents, even the seasoned ones and the good ones, are always like, hey, I have this borrower 700 or 800 credit score. What's the best rate you got? Well, we forget that there's 30 different loan price adjustments out there that go into making one single rate. You could have 2 800 credit score borrowers, and both of them get 2 different rates because of other different loan price adjustments that go into that. This one, there's no price adjustments.
No price adjustments.
0, which is like, I mean, loan officers listening to this, that's huge.
Well, and it's especially huge it's big for that 800 guy, but to me, that 690 borrower.
Oh, 100%. You
can get 690 borrower, if you can get it to run and they're putting 5% down, that's a big difference. Especially when you're talking about, think about like a $400,000 purchase with somebody with a 680, 690 credit score. That's a big deal.
That 2,000 to 4,000 goes from to 4,000 to 8,000. That's insane.
Right.
Guys, we're excited to bring some value to you guys. Alfredo, I'm super excited to do this with you. Let's see how quickly we can get to 52 episodes. And anyone out there listening, you're the real deal.
Thank you, man. I'm looking forward to it too.
Sir.
See you.